Hello.
Hi, Dan.
How you doing?
Not bad.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
good. I was at a field trip with Sylvia's class today. It
Oh, okay, that's nice.
was great. It was they went to this place called Warren Park. What is it? Warren Park. Yeah, and it's out by the Humber,
Okay.
and it's an outdoor education center.
Oh, good.
So there's this guy. We had him before. We were there before back in the fall, and his name is uh, Rodway, which is an interesting name.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, just call me Rod. And I was thinking to myself, geez, buddy, in Cape Breton, you'd be Roddy. But the kids loved it. And he was really interesting, actually. He had the kids take pictures of how light hits different things in nature
Oh, okay.
and why. And he talked about why, it never occurred to me, he talked about why colors in nature have a purpose and a communication. And listed all these examples like the red on a mushroom and the camouflage and all this kind of stuff. It was really great. The kids loved it. And then
Yeah.
he had them go down by the river, right next to the river, and just be totally still and silent for as long as they could handle it.
Okay.
I hand it to the guy because he was just like he was being so nice about it, eh? He didn't come down heavy at all. Uh,
Oh.
just like but still just waited patiently until all the kids shut up for a few minutes and listened to all the sounds. And then he had them all do this and turn around and then turn back. And they were all like, wow, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So they had a great time. It's exhausting though, going off with the class.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's cool. They're good kids. It's amazing to me. I was saying back in Cape Breton when I was in grade five, I was in North Sydney. That was my first year in North Sydney at the school in the city because I went to the school in the country when I was growing up. It was only 15 kids in the whole school, one teacher.
Right. Yeah.
Me and Bradley Burke we're in the same class, and that's it. Uh, and when I went to school in the city in North Sydney, it was hundreds of kids. And in grade five, there were kids like the language was terrible. Like people were cursing a blue streak when I was that age.
Oh, wow.
And kids were smoking. I remember clearly kids smoking, lots of fights. And I was just watching this class today and thinking, geez, man, what good kids. Nobody's cursing, nobody's trying to sneak off or smoke at all, and not one fight. I don't know what happened. Same as Jerome's friends. He had his friends over there a couple of weeks ago for a dinner night where he made dinner for everybody. And they were all 13, 14, and I expected to be kind of having to cool things down a bit and or the language or anything like that. Not a thing. Not a
Right.
thing. And they're just shooting nerfs at each other. It's the worst they do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Very good kids, gotta say.
Well, you're lucky.
I know.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if your kids are involved with kids like that, then, that's good
Yeah.
support for them.
Well, I think it helps that we get to know those other kids. Like
Yeah.
me and Jen are kind of like we're always around, unless because we work in the evening so much.
Right.
And we actively talk to them, try to get to know them. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the parents too. Although I gotta say, sometimes I feel like the parents are so strange. You know, especially the ones with a lot of money. Like they just live in a different world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. I just been sitting here because I had a little time because Jerome was taking his sister up to gymnastics, and I've just been sitting here playing these Irish dancing tunes. And I got to say that a couple of them are really catching me. There's this one here called the Rambling Rake. I'll just give you an example. So this is the type of stuff where at an Irish dancing competition, I'd be sitting there and there'd be a long line of girls usually girls, and they'll come up and ask for one of these tunes. And like 100 at least that I'm working on at a certain speed.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to get to know all the music. But this one here is called The Rambling Rake.
Can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that a great little tune? Very, very nice. The Rambling Rake. So, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's another one called The Roving Peddler, and it's a very unique melody. They're a little bit different than regular tunes, these set dances. For instance, the second part usually has a two-part thing. So, and this tune is no different. So it's kind of like a theme, and then the expansion on the theme, and then another expansion on the theme. And then you go back, usually the last 4 bars of it are usually from the A part. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
Kind of like a song, kind of. Anyway, so they're interesting little tunes, and I'm enjoying getting to know them. I'm just trying to hammer them into my head. That's the
Okay.
biggest thing. Yeah, because I got a lot to learn.
When do you have to play for the?
June 13th.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just working away. And my friend Ina, unfortunately, I don't think she can help me much more because she's got more tumors and more treatments, and it's not good. She's really low energy. And I was supposed to go over to her house on Monday, but then she canceled. So anyway, so I'm just gonna work away on my own and keep trying to learn all this music for all those dances. It's usually a pretty funny day, those fashions, though, I gotta say. The dresses themselves, my God. It's insane. You need to wear sunglasses. Alrighty, so we got some jigs we were working on last time, I think. Let's see here. And did we learn a new tune?
Yeah, Balkan Hills.
We learned the Balkan Hills, that's right. So let's warm up with the jigs. So I'm trying to remember, did we do the Irish Washerwoman? I think we did the Irish Washerwoman.
We did the Swallowtail, Morrison's, Irish, and the Cash.
Right on. All four in the one set or two sets?
I don't know. I can't remember now.
That would be a long set.
Yeah.
Now what I have here is on the old. What's that?
I wrote it down, Dan.
Oh, okay. Jeez, that's not nice.
Swallowtail and the Cash.
Oh yeah, okay.
And the Irish Washwoman and Morrison's together.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
There.
Okay, so let's start with Morrison's and the Cash. Or Swallowtail and the Cash, is it? Or Morrison's and the Cash?
Swallowtail and the Cash.
Okay, that's what I thought. The Swallowtail. Swallowtail. Not like I need the music, but I get worried that I'm gonna start messing around, playing different stuff because you get bored. Although I never get bored playing either of these tunes, I have to say. But I do improvise sometimes. Okay. Okay, here we go. So first of all, I think we should do a good solid G major scale. Like, I mean a good one. Get everything right bang on in order. Get the fingers moving and working. Do some arpeggio. Maybe a bit of double stop. And then we'll get going. Just going to tune up. G major. Here we go. Ready, slow. Arpeggio. How's that feeling? Mine was really good. Let's do it again. Ready, go. Now mine was not quite as good that time, but that's okay. Now, how about we speed her up? Everybody feeling like their hand is working good? You can speed her up a little bit. Good. Okay. So you like kind of like see how she lands. 1, 2, 3, go. Geez, I did good. Did really good that time, and I was looking at my tuner. I was kind of watching it and watching the black arrow. So if you're using tunable, there's the little black arrow at the top of the window, right? That and it tunes your overtones, and it can sense your bow. Like it can sense when your bow drastically slows down. It'll kind of go to the flat side really, really far. Or the other way if you're pressing too hard or whatever. So it's good for that. But also, even when you're trying to play bang on in tune, there's a little variance. And I'm just watching my range of variance when I'm playing in tune. And it's about as big as the green strip in the middle of the tunable screen. That's about as big as my margin of error is. I don't like it going outside there. But it does go almost outside there sometimes, and I fix it with finger pressure if I need to. Let's do it one more time, that speed. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so I did a little better. I had a little tighter. towards the middle that time. I had one note that went out though, and I noticed that the little heart monitor thing went outside the green, and then you're watching it as it goes down, so you're reminded of that flat note, you know, for the next few notes. Anyway, let's try some double stops in the key of G. And let's do this bowing pattern. Because last time we were talking about having a nice loose kind of wrist setup for doing the jigs, and this is a really good way to practice that. So let's go like this. How is all that? Pretty good? Okay, let's try it again, but first I want to do some bow push-ups. Okay, and you're trying really hard to use your fingers to clutch that bow up into your palm. Yeah, that's good, Elaine. Looks good. You too, Astrid. That looks great. And that's how we're going to bow, right? That's how we're going to do those hand bows. Okay, let's try it again. Yes.
I was playing a little faster at times when I dared, and I thought I was really smart. And then I got the creaking sounds again. So I decided I was going to use my bow. First of all, there's two things that I thought I'd do, and please tell me if I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. But I thought I would use this part closer to this here when I was playing faster. Okay. And then I thought it'd be better for me to bow over here closer to this bridge part. Correct me if I'm wrong, if it's all nonsense, but I found that I had a little bit of a clearer sound, and I had a little bit more control. I might be right off the rocket.
Well, so the two things you talked about there. So first of all, where you're playing on the bow, and there are advantages to playing down on the frog for sure, because the weight is already there. So for instance, when I'm playing at a loud bar, or if I'm playing Big John McNeil, I'll usually be down on the lower part of the bow because it bounces a little bit better down there, like a little bit more controllable to bounce from string to string with the bow. Also, you don't have to bear into it as much when you're down there. However, when you're playing in that part of the bow, this kind of the touch, like how much you're digging into the strings, is really important, because the weight of your hand and the weight of the bow and the metal and all that is already quite a lot. So if I put my bow on the strings at the frog like this, and I just kind of don't do anything to pick up on the weight, it sounds like this. See that? So when I'm down here, I really need to pick up on the bow, get the weight off the strings. And then I bring the weight in as I get towards the tip. See that? Now this is how they used to get us to practice that. See that? It's kind of like bow push-ups except on your strings. And you can kind of push the bow into the strings. You can feel the strings pushing back. And then you kind of work on your touch that way. How much you need to dig in is different for everybody. That's the thing. You have to kind of discover how much you need to dig in for the weight of your bow, for what kind of strings you're using, the whole package. It's your own thing. Some people have to dig in a lot, other people barely a touch. I'm kind of medium. I'll tell you though, the E string, I don't even touch her. I just try to get the weight off of that E string all the time because it does not like weight. I just kind of, so when I'm up at the tip, I don't have any bear down on it at all. And as I get towards the frog, I'm only picking up on it. See that? Yeah, the E is special like that. On the down bow, very light, and get moving. Drop the bow towards the floor. With no weight, again. Okay? Now, the rest of the strings do need a bit of weight, and you got to figure out how much you need. Okay? So if you're playing down at the frog, it might be that when you're up here, because you're going to be up there a lot as well, you might need to bear in a little bit. Maybe that's what you're sensing. Okay? So maybe a little bit more weight. Now, the other thing you were talking about, moving towards the bridge or away from the bridge. Every fiddle has a sweet spot for where the good sound is. And I shouldn't say the good sound, the easy sound. So on my fiddle, I don't know if you can see on the camera. Oh yeah, you see the rosin marks? That's right where I play. So that's right about here. Okay, that's where, for my fiddle, that's where I get the best sound. Now I can show you, because when I pluck the fiddle there, it's a nice free pluck. You hear that? When I pluck it down here, you hear how it gets pinched? Yeah, and it gets real screechy down there. Now, every fiddle is different. Some people it's here, some people it's there. It really depends on your fiddle and your bow. So if you're noticing you have to come up a bit and it's improving, that's fine. As soon as you hear it getting a little squeaky, you're getting too close. Okay, because it's hard to play up near the bridge and get a good sound. You can, and classical violinists that I know do it for a sort of volume control. But this is for most fiddles, this is the easiest spot right here. Okay, and you can do it with your pluck. Just try to, you can hear it.
That. Yeah, that's great advice. That's super.
Yeah, and it's interesting, that aspect there. I always liken it to a suspended bridge, and you know, the big bridge cable. So if somebody put you in a cherry picker and you went to the middle of that bridge cable, you could probably pluck it with your finger, even though it's huge. If you went down to where it joins the bridge, you'll never move it in a million years, because that's where it joins. Same as the string. So you got to get a spot where it's easy to get it vibrating. Okay? And just experiment. So the stuff you're doing is good. It's all experimentation stuff, and that's what you got to do. You got to move that bow around till you find your sweet spot. You got to judge how much weight you put on to get a good, decent sound most of the time. Do you see what I mean? And you vary it from there. Anyway, let's do that exercise again. That was really good questions. It helps. So this time, you're going to really try hard to just use the hand, arm on each set of double stops. And look at your zoom window, you can watch your hand. Ready, 2, 3, go. Some good ones. I had some that were very, very nice and clean and easy and, you know, effortless. I had others that were just terrible. And I had one that was really desperately out of tune. Did you notice that one? It was the third, this one here. And my third finger was too high, and I could not get it back down, and then it was over. You know, that it happens. It happens like that sometimes. Anyway, so let's do it again. Now, how do you guys feel? Are you getting a supple wrist? Is it starting to soften. Hopefully. Oh, look, Lena says yes. That's great. That's awesome. Maybe you could make one of those emojis that's, a fiddle wrist. Let's try it one more time. Ready, 2, 3, go. That was much better on my part. I had much nicer hand notes, and everything was in tune. How about you guys? You have some success? Moderate success? Keep working on it. It's a really good thing to keep working on all the time, especially on the double stops.
Yeah, I've been practicing looking in the mirror while I'm playing,
Good. Yeah.
and I end up just going very, very slowly. I like just
Yeah.
so slow.
That's good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so now we got a nice wrist. Let's do our jigs. Oh, yeah. And let's see. Let's do them twice each for the first go around. But I wouldn't mind trying them 3 times each after that to work on stamina. Because that's a big part of what we do too. Being able to play 2 tunes 3 times each without having to cramp up or take an asthma puffer or anything like that. It's really good skill. Anyway, so let's try it. What's that?
The order of.
Oh yeah, Swallowtail followed by the Kesh. And for speed, maybe something like that is possible. Let's see what happens when we try it at that speed. 1, 2, 3, go! Success? Yeah? Oh, that's good. So we can try it faster then. Cool. Let's see. What would be a reasonable tempo where we could get some rhythm in there? Think we can do it? That tempo? Let's try it. I bet you we can. And that has a little tiny bit of rhythm in there at that tempo. It's what they call the stately pace. So just a little introduction of the rhythm, and I'll pound it out as best I can. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Whew, that was a clip. How did you get along? Did you shoot most of the Germans?
You know, sometimes my bow would just bounce up and down, and I know I was losing control on the cache on the third line, the second half. I don't know. It was just bouncing around.
You want to try playing that for me, and I'll see what's going on with your bow?
um I didn't bounce.
That was good.
'Cause
Now,
you were
in
watching me.
the bouncing issue, is that in the middle of the bow? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, that's an easy thing to fix. So
good.
what happens with the bouncy bow is that the middle is the softest part of the trampoline. So that's where you bottom out. So you're
Oh.
going along the bow, right? You're doing your down bow, and it only happens on the down bow. You're doing your down bow, you get to the middle, and now you're a compressed spring. You want to go like this. See that? So what you got to do is, my teacher used to say, the bow is shaped like this, and you bow like that. Bow shape bowing. Keep the bow into the strings, especially after the middle. Like that.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, see if that helps. Now you got to kind of do it with the speed. You got to get the timing right. So you're doing your down bow, and it's right after the middle that you have to bring this weight in.
Oh, I see.
Okay, now the thing is, you got to get the timing right, because if you do it too early, it bounces. If you do it too late, it bounces.
Wow.
So you got what I get people to do to practice it is, first of all, you practice that style of bowing. Just kind of bringing that weight in as you go down. And you might feel a little shudder in the stick, but it doesn't come through the sound. Okay, because it's going to spring. That's the way the bow is. It is a spring. It's just that you got to control it. So, like that. Okay, it's kind of... It's pretty good. Now, when the speed goes up, that's when it really starts to get bouncy. So, once you get the hang of that bow shape bowing, then you do this. Big long up bow, and then a swift down bow. See that? And you don't have to go too swift at first. That was good. Now, what happened there when you did that? Your bow did this.
Yeah.
So, and all you got to do to keep that at bay is to keep that very, very flexible wrist, right, on the down bow. And also you can hook that bow in towards yourself. Just to anticipate that it's going to happen, and you just kind of steer it in. See that? Try it again. Now, you should try to do a long up bow first, because that's what sets it up.
Okay.
Much better. See that? That was a good strong down bow there with no bounce.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I felt it that way. It felt better. Right
Good.
there.
So, and that's how you work on it. And Elaine's worked on it. It's a very common complaint for the down bow, is that little shudder or that bounce. And that's why it happens, and that's what you do to... Now, the other thing is, once you're getting really fast, you can use the bounce. You feel the bow bouncing around there, and it's like, oh, good. I always use the example of Big John McNeil. See that? That's just bounce. I'm barely doing anything. I'm just letting the bow bounce. So sometimes it's a good thing. You see what I mean? But you got to get to be able to control it. And it's all about that. Okay? Good point. Glad you brought it up. How did everybody else get along at that speed? Any problems? Pretty good? Good. Let's do it again. One more time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. pace. For me, anyway, I enjoyed it. Did you guys get a few notes in there? Cool. Better with the bouncing? A little bit. You'll have to work it in there. Okay. Okay, that's good. So we'll leave those jigs now, and let's do the what do you call it? The Balkan Hills. Love it. Did it with the ladies that I teach on Wednesdays too. They saw it on the music stand and asked about it, and we learned it. I would like to know what happened in the Balkan Hills that ended up with this tune. I knew some people from the Balkan Hills when I lived in Newfoundland. It was during the Balkan crisis there, when the Serbians were at war with everybody, the Bosnians and the Croats and everybody, and it was a terrible time. And Newfoundland took a bunch of refugees from that area, from Belgrade, I think, to St. John's. And so a bunch of these Yugoslavian guys and women too lived in St. John's for a while. They first lived at the army base in Argentia, and then some of them got jobs and apartments. One guy went to school, Eldine, and I played with him. He made a presentation for CBC about living through the war. It was very interesting. He was a Muslim guy, and when he was a teenager, he got into trouble, and his dad put him in military school. And that meant that when the war came along, he got called up. And he's fighting Muslims. Like, it was nuts. So he defected, he got out. Him and these three other guys, Lido, Eldine, and Amir. And Amir ended up being like the best cook ever. He opened up the Gypsy Kitchen in St. John's. So good. The unbelievable stuff with fish. Eldine ended up getting a humanities degree and went back to Belgrade, where he does translation work for the UN now. It was right after the whole conflict. And then the other guy, Lido, I don't know what he's doing now, but he was a funny little guy, man. And he drove this Volkswagen like he was just airborne everywhere he went. But Eldine made a presentation for CBC Radio. He wrote all these tunes about living through that war, and I played the drums for him on it. It's pretty cool. I was glad to know those guys. They had a lot of stories, and I only knew about that conflict through the news. And then suddenly, I knew these guys, and they were telling me all about it. It's a very crazy experience. Okay, Balkan Hills. Now, we just learned it, so we better go slow. No need for a hurry. Let's see. Let's try that. I think that's a nice gentle tempo, and it's not a hard tune. And just to review, we got part one is the main theme. Part two is the high part. Part three is the long D. Part four is the complicated part. Okay? So it's good to keep that roadmap in your mind. Let's give it a try. A 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's take a little breather. And I have to, my boy called while we were doing that, so I just got to call him back. Just give me 1 second. Well, that's pretty funny. There was no problem. He just wanted to tell me about encountering a goose on the sidewalk. He had a real funny joke about it. He's like, I wanted to tell you about the goose. Anyway, okay. So how did we get along with the Balkan Hills at that speed? Was it okay? It looked good. Like I was watching people's fingers. It looked all good. Let's pick it up a tiny bit because it takes forever to get through at that tempo. So let's pick it up a tiny bit and see if we can do it maybe twice. Okay? Are there any questions about anything before we do it twice? Anything at all? No? Let's just do it. Okay. I'm ready. One, two, three. One more time. Oh, that was a good stint. How's everybody's left? Now, tell me this. Whose right arm is bothering them after all that? How about the left hand? It's the left hand. Elaine's good to go. She's like, she could do it all night. No problem.
Oh, my back is gone.
You're back. Oh.
And my shoulders, across my shoulders.
And what kind of chair are you sitting on there?
It's a hard chair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you never know. You know, it's a weird thing. The best thing I did was buying this $1,400 chair. Because I spent a lot of time here, and during the pandemic, I actually put my back out from sitting sitting at the computer, because I was doing 6, 7, 8 hours a day of it, it was incredibly painful, and it totally wrecked the first stint in the studio for making the Pipes record, because I was basically laying on my back, and so I bought this chair. And I got it because they had them at the studio. So I was learning about office chairs and the ones that don't hurt you. And I read about these Herman Miller chairs. And then I went to the studio the next day and they had them. That's what they had. And the guy, Leon, said they're totally worth it and they'll last you forever. They don't break. And when they do break, you can fix them. But I got to say, it fixed my back. Like, it's a really, really incredible thing. And it's simple. And I can play on it. It's really good. Okay, now how do we get along? Any problems with the Balkan Hills? That's about as fast as you do it. It's a march, so you don't have to do it much faster than that. I wouldn't. You know, maybe a touch, but that's about all. Because you got to leave, when you play a march, you have to leave room for a strathspey and then a reel. So you have to leave room to speed up. You can't, if you do a march too fast, then you have to do a strathspey at an insane tempo and then a reel at an even more insane tempo. So you really got to watch it at marches. You got to picture in your mind actually walking in a comfortable kind of pace that's going to get you all the way to the Balkan Hills. Okay. Should we try one more time? Sure. Same speed? Okay. Once more. A 1, 2, 3. you feeling? Is it all right? Okay, cool. Now I'm trying to think. I think you need a couple of new tunes. Because I was looking at the Google Drive, and there's not a huge number of reels there, I noticed. There's not very many at all. Let's look in here. Whoops. Okay, let's see. So we got... Ooh, we were working on Big John McNeil. Oh my God, that was a while ago. We should get back at that, because that's a really good tune for the practice. We did Laddie with the Platy, a Shogun, Morag. We did Silver Spear, that's good. Drowsy Maggie, that's good too. Let me see. High Road to Linton. And we only have one Strathspey, Hockey Johnny Ladd. I think we should get... Oh! Let's get Cameron Scott, his wife, again. I will send it. This is a great tune. Let me play it first. No, I have it here. Cameron's got his wife again. Great tune. And it's very, very popular in terms of Cape Breton fiddle. Big time. Everybody plays it. I've been playing it a long time. And Brittany. Okay, Cameron's got his wife again. It's quite a mental image, eh? I don't know what happened to her, but he got her back. Something tells me she's not that happy about it.
Did you just send it?
I'm just doing it now.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my...
Sure. That's weird. Why is it such a big PDF? It's huge. Off it goes. You probably have it in Jerry's book already there, Elaine. But I sent it anyway. Now let me just play it a couple times. Get it rolling around the head. That's it. Sound familiar, Lane? Yeah. It's a big one. And it's not that hard. Now, I wonder if we should try learning it tonight or maybe leave it. We'll leave it till next week. We'll learn it next week because we only got 15 minutes and I don't want to hammer through it. And give you time to get used to it. I'll make a video of it and you guys can get used to it. In the meantime, why don't we practice that other set of jigs? So that would be the, let's see here, the Irish Washerwoman and Morrison's. Oh yeah, Morrison's is a really good one to practice. Just wait for Astrid to get back from the printer. Hey, Astrid. Did you hear me playing that tune? Okay, cool. We're not going to learn it tonight. Just going to get used to it. So I'm going to make a video of it now that you have the music and you heard it, and then we'll tackle it next week because I want to go through it, you know, phrase by phrase. So for the last few minutes here, let's take out the Irish Washerwoman and Morrison's, because we were talking a lot about string crossing last time, and Morrison's is like the ultimate string crossing tune. One of them, anyway. There's a few. That was funny. Irish Washerwoman just melded into Swallowtail. See that? They're so similar. My God. There's really only one tune. Okay. Now, how fast should we go? We should ease into it for sure. 1, 2, 3, go. Survivors? You go okay? It's a long one, yeah, and I've been making you play all night there tonight. Okay, and I was looking at the hands, and not too bad. Not too bad of this here. And again, the problem is that when you first start to get it, it comes by tiny little degrees. So first you're able to, and it's amazing, I don't know why, but first you're able to move like this much. And then after a while, this much, a little bit more, and then for some reason, a little bit more. Now, the whole time you're trying to do it, this is available. But for some reason, it comes by degrees for everybody. I don't know anybody that hasn't gotten their bow arm working in a different way than that. So just be patient with it, you know what I mean? And keep working on this hand thing to get that going. Okay, let's try one more time with these and then I'll let you go. A little quicker. I think you can handle it. You didn't seem to have any problems with that go around. So, 2, 3, go! That looked like it went pretty well too. So we're getting there, people. Keep working on the supple wrist. That's what they say, supinate, and then I don't know what this one's called, but this is called supinate, and this one's called the other thing. And so just keep working on those two things, and the touch on the strings, and we're gonna, and also that Another variation of that, if you get tired of that, you can do this. So arm, hand, hand, arm, hand, hand, arm, hand. They call that hop bunny, hop bunny. You try to get down to each end of the bow to do your little ones. See that? Same thing, the hand to do the little ones. And then, of course, you can do this. Okay? So we'll keep working on it next week and we'll get that new tune. Have a good week, everybody. Keep the fiddle going. Bye.